Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in Monday. Wait. Let me do it like Hunt does. Welcome in Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. How'd we do, Beck? How was
that
the
was
Hunt
pretty
Palmer?
good. That wasn't bad.
All right, well, we'll take it. Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp here with you all week long. Well, at least Monday through Thursday. I have something up Friday as well. We're all busy on Friday, but I'm here with you all week long, Monday through Thursday, filling in for a vacationing Hunt Palmer. And let me tell you something. If somebody in this building deserves a vacation, it's Hunt Palmer. Our guy does not take off of work. I had to force him to take off during the Christmas holiday. He didn't want to do it. He only took off 3 days when him and his wife had their latest kid. Like, Hunt's just a guy that enjoys showing up for work. I mean, he does a lot between this show and writing for LouisianaSports.net. Hunt does not take vacation, so I do not mind at all whenever I have to fill in for Mr. Hunt Palmer. But like I said, Taylor Sharp here with you in the host chair. We got Jacob Beck back from his week-long vacation, and we got Cassie Spazzali as well. Guys, how are we doing? Beck, you certainly had an eventful week, but how was everybody's Easter? What did we get into yesterday?
Yeah, it was good. Wife and I went to church in the morning and went back over to my grandparents' house and had some lunch. So it was pretty much your usual Easter affair, so it was good though.
Cassie, what did we get into?
Easter was good. Woke up, went to mass in the morning, and then we went to my grandparents' house and had lots and lots of crawfish. I got lots of cuts on my fingers, but I don't regret it one bit. It was a great day.
I had 2 crawfish boils yesterday. Had to kind of pace myself a little bit. Had Victoria's side of the family at like 1 o'clock, and then we had my family's at like 4 o'clock. Had to pace ourselves a little bit. First one, we kind of went opposite, guys. Like the first crawfish boil, got there a little late, so I only did like maybe 2 pounds, maybe 3 pounds. Did a lot of desserts the first crawfish boil. I mean, we had carrot cake, we had a lemon cake, we had homemade chocolate ice cream. So I kind of dove into all that, and then the second crawfish boil was my side of the family. My brother-in-law did the crawfish. Oh, we threw down. I mean, there was 7 of us. We ate all 70 pounds of crawfish that we had. I mean, we dominated it. It was a sodium-filled Sunday for me. Yeah, great time. Cassie, have we rethought our Easter candy tier list?
No.
Okay, you're sticking with. Oh, by the way,
I'm sticking with it.
big day for you. Chick-fil-A, how was it?
I walked in, Chick-fil-A in hand. So happy to be back. I missed it. 40 days too long.
Guys, she's being modest. She came in with 3 different bags.
No,
she said,
it was just one bag.
It was just one bag, but she did say, hey, I usually get the 8-piece. I went crazy, got the 12-piece.
Oh,
I got the 12 count today.
I can have a snack after the show.
And I didn't finish
it,
it, so I'm going to go home afterwards and have some more Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A is right
Incredible.
there. Well, so like, you have to pass Chick-fil-A every day to come to work, so it's like it's staring you in the face all the time.
It's right there across
I imagine that was tough. I want to give myself a little bit of credit on this, hand up. Not one to brag, but I'm going to. I did not eat Chick-fil-A in front of Cassie one time in these last 40 days.
You did like to mention plenty of times that you were going to go get Chick-fil-A.
He joked a few times,
but
I
wanted to
did
get Chick-fil-A for
But
her.
I didn't, Beck. I
don't mind the jokes because I couldn't smell it. So he didn't eat in front of me, so I couldn't smell it. It wasn't that bad.
I did have it last week while you were gone, Beck, but
he waited until after.
She was doing the show,
okay.
and then I left. So I was nice.
All right.
I was nice.
fair.
Did not
I
eat
appreciate
it.
it.
Well,
Yes.
wait, but what were the French fries? Were they not different? To
No,
you?
they
tasted the same. Okay. I've been getting a lot of reports that they changed the way they make the fries now, but I don't know. I had it last week as well, and they were a little off, but it wasn't that much. I just
Maybe
been
it's
hearing.
just your taste buds.
No, I know. I don't know what it is.
I think it's a you problem.
Maybe so, but I was just reading a lot of people saying that they changed it. I don't know, but that's just what I was hearing.
I know that didn't happen because Cassie didn't walk in a fit of rage this morning because they changed
Yeah,
their fries.
she
So I'm
would've-
going to go ahead and say they kept them the exact same. All right. we don't usually start the Hunt Palmer show like that. That's an OTB way to start the show. We got a lot to dive into. We're going to do LSU baseball. There's a new report from Adam Schefter about the Saints falling in love with a particular quarterback. We're going to get into all of that. LSU football, a player who was mentioned as a possible transfer portal candidate decided he is not going to enter the portal. That's big news. And then we're going to continue to break down the transfer portal of college football. We're going to get into it all. Right now, though, let's get this show started like we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
LSU fresh off a weekend series against the Alabama Crimson Tide, which helped the Tigers get 2 out of 3. I'll give you a little recap game by game, and then I'll give you maybe my biggest overall takeaways from the weekend. The Tigers get it done against the Crimson Tide on Thursday night, 11-6. They get a close, hard-fought victory, 4-3. On Friday night. And then on Saturday, the Tigers were looking for the sweep. Couldn't quite get it done. Alabama wins that one 7-4. Going to kind of give you a scoring recap. Game 1, Alabama actually had a 5-1 lead in the bottom of the 6th inning. It's weird when you look at the stat line because Cade Anderson goes 6 innings. He gives up 5 runs, and you're thinking, okay, well, he didn't have a great day. He had 10 strikeouts, no walks. It's just every ball pretty much that was hit left the yard. It was just one of those, you're either not going to hit it at all or you're going to hit it and it's going to go a long way. But look, Alabama had that 5-1 lead in the bottom of the 6th inning. Ashton Larson comes up as a pinch hitter, 3-run home run. That puts the Tigers within 1, so LSU's only down 5-4 at this point. Then a little bit later, Stephen Milam comes in. He gets a 3-run home run. It was a 4-run 7th inning for the Tigers. Ethan Fry had a 2-run home run in the 3-run 8th inning. And then Kason Evans, he earned that win. He limited Alabama to no runs on 2 1/3, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Alabama did plate a run in the top of the 9th, had the bases loaded with 2 outs, but like he's done all year long, Zach Cowan comes in. He records the final out, earned his 5th save of the season. He would actually get his 6th save in game number 2. Speaking of game number 2, Alabama once again jumped out to a lead. It was a 1-0 lead. LSU erased that with 2 runs in the bottom of the 3rd. Daniel Dickinson with an RBI. Jared Jones lined a scoring double. Tigers go 4-1 in the 4th. A 2 RBI single by Derek Curiel, who continues to hit the ball well. Alabama gets back thanks to Richie Bonamolo, who we highlighted on OTB a week ago as one of the dangerous hitters in the lineup. That narrowed the Alabama gap 4-3, so the Crimson Tide down just 1 run. It's kind of back and forth at that point. LSU was able to hold on. A big takeaway from game number 2, at least for me, was center fielder Chris Stanfield. He's batting in that 9 hole, and we had talked about it going into SEC play, and it's really continued to ring true. 1 through 9 in this lineup. Doesn't really matter where these guys are hitting. 1 through 9, they're dangerous. Yeah, your 9-hole hitter in game 2. LSU had 12 hits. Chris Stanfield, 4 for 4. He had a double, scored 2 runs. That's your 9-hole hitter. That's going to win you a lot of baseball games. And you needed every bit of it in game 2. Again, a 4-3 victory for the Tigers over the Crimson Tide. So LSU sitting pretty. They win games 1 and 2, but game 3 was a little bit different. Zane Adams, the starting left-hander for Alabama, limited LSU to just 1 run in 5 innings of work. Richie Bonamolo, who I mentioned in that game 2, he had a 3-run homer in the top of the 3rd inning. That gave Alabama an early 3-0 lead. LSU narrowed the gap a little bit. It was kind of back and forth, but Alabama tacked on insurance runs in the 9th. LSU in the bottom of the 9th, they got a walk. Josh Pearson gets on. Jake Brown has an RBI triple, but it just was not quite enough. And, of course, LSU dropped that last game 7-4. As far as my takeaways from this weekend, once again, your bullpen was actually pretty good. I mean, it's been really good 2 weekends in a row. We talked about it last week on OTB. Like, yeah, you got swept by Auburn, but if I would have told you you threw 8 relievers in the series against Auburn and gave up a total of 2 runs, you would have said LSU swept that series. It was the bats that let you down. But look at game 1. I mentioned Cade Anderson, 5 2/3 inning, gave up 5 earned runs. Well, Jacob Myers, Kason Evans, Connor Bench, Zach Cowan, they combined for 1 run the rest of that game. Game 2, Anthony Ianson was dominant. So it was a little bit different way that LSU had to handle things. Now, he got into some trouble early as far as putting runners on base, But I've gotten to the point now, I don't care how much trouble Anthony Ianson gets in or you think he's in. You leave him in the game. We saw it the first 2 weekends of the season. It was out of conference. He got in trouble. He had multiple runners on base early in the game with no outs, and he was able to get out of a jam. He's continued to do that all season long. Like, Anthony Ianson is so calm with runners on base. The base runners do not faze him at all. I mean, a lot of times, like Thatcher Hurd's a guy that comes to mind, right? When nobody's on base, Thatcher Hurd's dealing. He walks 1 or 2 guys. He just seems to get in trouble. It snowballs on him. Everything kind of collapses. Anthony Ianson, the complete opposite. I mentioned he got into some trouble early. He goes 6 innings, 12 Ks, only 5 walks. And you win that game. That was the 4-3 game. You needed every bit of that from Anthony Ianson. He was good. He got out of trouble early, finished strong. Game 3 was obviously the one that everyone's going to talk about because when the starting lineup was announced, Chase Shores was not your Game 3 starter. This is something that was hinted at all last week. You know, everybody on this station had been kind of talking, hey, how long of a leash does Chase Shores have? Well, it was Connor Ware that got the start in Game 3. And Connor only went 2 innings, but he did a nice job. Then Shores comes in. And Chase Shores really struggled in relief. I mean, he's struggling all over the place, starting out of the pen, wherever. Chase Shores went 2 2/3 innings, 5 Ks, 2 walks, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. He wasn't good. I mean, this is the 3rd subpar outing for Chase Shores in a row. But again, outside of him, the bullpen was good. The next 6 arms combined to give up 2 runs. You threw 8 pitchers on Saturday in that Game 3 to try to get the sweep. It collapsed on Shores, but 6 arms after Chase Shores gave up a total of 2 runs. Biggest overall takeaways of this series, LSU leaving way too many runners on base. In that Game 3, they left double digits on base in that game alone. You do that against SEC teams, it'll hurt you. We've seen it lately. I mentioned they fall Game 3 to Alabama. Also, you no longer have a Day 3 starter. Because I don't think it's Connor Ware. If he's only going to go 2 innings, who is it? I wanted it to be William Schmidt, but he's clearly not ready. And here's how you know he's not ready. Because if he was ready, this week at home against Alabama would have been the time to throw him in there. Look at your next 2 series. You got Tennessee coming to town this weekend. You're not throwing a freshman out there in his first start on the weekend. And then the following weekend, you play Texas A&M, who's playing a lot better ball right now than they were at the beginning of SEC play. They look a lot more like the number 1 preseason team now than they did 3 weeks ago. I don't think you're going to start William Schmidt in either of those games, at least not for his first start in SEC play. Also, he came out of the pen this weekend, and he didn't look that great. So how do you piece it together in Game 3? Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson, they're great Friday, Saturday, or Games 1 and 2, whatever you want to call it. I'm good with just leaving them there. That's what it's going to be the entire season, barring something crazy. But you have to find that Game 3 starter. You were confident this season saying, hey, if Chase Shores can be that number 3, then you have an advantage on every Game 3 you play if Chase Shores can live up to his potential, what everyone thinks it is. He hasn't done that. Chase Shores has not. I mean, look, you saw what he did. Even when they pulled him last weekend against Auburn, he went 2 innings. Probably should not have even went that long. If I was Jay Johnson, I probably would have pulled him after 1 inning. And he comes in, he goes 2 2/3, 5 Ks, 2 walks, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. It's not going to get it done. Chase Shores will have a place on this team. He's just got to find out where that is. Because it doesn't look like it's on the weekends in SEC play right now. Do you let him kind of get his feet wet in the midweek, get his confidence back a little bit? I don't know. But right now, you do not have a Game 3 starter. That's my big takeaway. Now, I mentioned in Game 2, Jared Jones had the big home run, but he was just 2 for 11 on the weekend. He's got to be better if he's going to be one of your hitters that you rely on in the top of that lineup. Overall, though, your bullpen was still pretty good. You did a lot better job hitting 1 through 9. You still left a lot of guys on base. And you also no longer have a Game 3 starter. Who is that going to be? You got to find somebody. You really got to have 4. Because in Omaha, you're going to have to play, some odd days. Somebody's going to have to come in on short rest. I mean, we were talking about it this morning on OTB. I brought up the fact that Paul Skeens did not pitch in the championship series against Florida. But you had Nate Ackenhausen as that 4. And then you went Ty Floyd. Then you went Thatcher Hurd. You really got to have 3, maybe even 4 arms to compete in Omaha and get where you want to get. Right now, you got 2 starters. That's what you have. Can William Schmidt develop into that guy? Maybe. But I don't think that's for at least 2 more weeks. Because I don't think you're rolling him out there against Tennessee, and I don't think you're rolling him out there against Texas A&M. Not for his first starting action in SEC play. That's a tough spot to put a freshman in. The week after that, you have South Carolina. So it lightens up a little bit. But you got to piece this thing together the next 2 weeks, figure it out, try to get some wins in the win column. Look, I'm happy with the victory, but a naysayer will come up here and say, okay, well, LSU's still 2-4 in their last 6 SEC games. True. And a lot of people were saying, oh, well, you needed to sweep this weekend. I don't think you needed to sweep this weekend. I think you got 2 out of 3 like you did. It was fine. Now, wishful thinking, you wanted 3. South Carolina coming up in 3 weeks, depending on how these next 2 weekends go, that might be a must sweep. I don't think we're there yet, but we'll see what happens with this team. Can they do a better job with runners in scoring position, not leaving guys on base, and can they find that number 3 starter? That's kind of where I'm at with this baseball team. If they can do that, they're going to be fine. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, LSU got some good news in terms of the transfer portal. We're breaking it down next here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Property and casualty or group employee benefits. Your one-stop shop for all things insurance is, of course, the Highland Insurance Group. If you're a business owner and you don't have a great relationship with your insurance broker, they're just the guy who came with the lowest premium number, that's one way to handle it, but it might not be the best way, especially when something happens. Whether it's a hurricane or a car accident or a cyber breach or a lawsuit or an injury. When that happens, you're going to need your insurance to respond. And if you only have the insurance in place because it was the cheapest one, it may not. Jonathan Carver and his team can be a trusted advisor and a part of your team as a business to make sure that your business continues to run even if the event happens. Give them a call or check them out online, HighlandIG.com. They're right here in Baton Rouge, but they can help you out statewide. It's Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the 2025 Jeep Compass Sport for only $23,995. $23,995 or 2025 Jeep Compass with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Welcome back in, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in for a vacation to Mr. Hunt Palmer. I believe Hunt probably somewhere on a beach right now, just enjoying life. Are there any golf courses nearby? I don't know.
I know he's playing.
I was about to say,
yeah, he is.
If there's one, he's going to find it.
He will be.
No question about that. But yeah, look, we're in here today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. So another long week for your guy. Just throwing that out there. We had OTB last week. We got Hunt this week. But look, Hunt, much needed vacation time. Hunt's a busy guy. He does a lot here at Guarantee, and he deserves that time off. All right, I teased it going into break there a little bit. LSU got some news on the transfer portal, or I should say who is not entering the transfer portal. Now, normally you would say someone not entering the transfer portal isn't exactly news, and I understand that, but it was kind of just universally thought that a prime transfer portal candidate for the LSU Tigers would be Kaleb Jackson. Hand up, I was one of the ones that brought this up. I thought there was potential for Kaleb Jackson to enter the transfer portal. I just thought that, okay, it was more likely than not he would enter because Harlem Berry is extremely talented. We know he was the number one running back in high school football last year. He's on campus for you. Kaleb Jackson, as we all know, was passed up by Caden Durham during the season last year. And Caden Durham is a class below Kaleb Jackson. If you bring in a true freshman in the spring and for whatever reason passes Kaleb Jackson, that now puts Kaleb Jackson at third at best in the running back depth chart. And don't forget, you have JT Lindsey coming in, who was a high four-star recruit in his own right. I mean, one of the best running backs in the country as well. He's coming in the fall. So I just figured, okay, Caden Durham's going to be your number one back this year, no question about it. If Harlem Berry is somehow neck and neck with Kaleb Jackson, Jackson might think, okay, what if I'm third team going into the fall? JT Lindsey comes in. He has a couple good practices, or heaven forbid, I tweak an ankle. Boom, I'm bumped down a spot. JT Lindsey's in there. He's so talented, I may not get that spot back. That could put Kaleb Jackson at fourth string. But Kaleb Jackson, on Friday, it was actually reported that he's not entering the portal. Here's what Kaleb said. He said, my family's from here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Having them in my circle is always amazing. Being able to go home, talk to my mom, my grandma, talk to my dad, all that stuff, it really sets my head straight and makes me want to go harder so that I can play for them and my home state. I'm from Baton Rouge, born and raised here, went to school right down the street. He went to Liberty Magnet. And he said that played an impact in keeping me here and wanting to keep going. This, to me, is so refreshing in the age of the transfer portal. We talked last week about Nico Iamaleava. He entered the portal, and he was a starter. Chad Baker-Mazara, I know it's a different sport for Auburn, entered the portal. He's coming up on his fifth school. It's very easy to just say, I'm going to go somewhere where it's immediate playing time. I may not even be happy there, but I'm going to go. Kaleb Jackson is about as homegrown as it gets from right here in Baton Rouge, and he decided, I'm sticking around. I'm going to fight this thing till the end. Look, he said, throughout the whole season, I was like, okay, am I going to get in? He said, the whole season passed. Okay, maybe I don't belong. Maybe I should do this. He said, but I put my trust in God, my family, the coaches. They just said, keep working, keep doing this, keep doing that. He said, I feel like I had a better spring this year than I did last year. Last week when I broke down the spring scrimmage and had immediate reaction, Caden Durham did not practice in that spring scrimmage just for precautionary reasons. Kaleb Jackson got a lot of run in that. He was the lead back far and away in that scrimmage over a guy like Harlem Berry. Maybe that helped play a role in it. Because if you go back and look at Kaleb Jackson last year, Look, the flash plays have been there. 2 years ago, we saw him run over the DB at Mississippi State as a true freshman. Everyone loved it. I mean, the flashes have been there. As a freshman in 2023, Kaleb Jackson, 165 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, 5.3 yards per carry. This past season, 150 yards rushing, no touchdowns, 3.4 yards per carry. Now, obviously, not all of that is on him. We know that this offensive line struggled in the run blocking. That's why at times you had to completely abandon the running game in some of these games you play. I think this is big for LSU. One, if Kaleb Jackson leaves, you have Caden Durham and 2 true freshmen in Harlem Berry and JT Lindsey. But with Kaleb Jackson back, not only do you have depth in that room, I think there's a place for Kaleb Jackson. I think the role for him maybe could be as that short yardage back. He's a big-bodied guy. He's a physical runner. And then if you look at your other 3 scholarship running backs, Caden Durham right now listed at 5'9", 205. Harlem Berry, 5'10", 185. JT Lindsey, 5'11", 185. Can Jackson become that short yardage back? I know a lot of people had a lot of different opinions on Josh Williams just because he started his career to walk on, and a lot of people believe, okay, well, just because you weren't a 4 and a 5-star doesn't mean or means that you're not going to have a good college career. That's not true. Josh Williams was a dang good football player here for multiple years, and he meant a lot to your team. He averaged over 4 yards per carry last year, had over 100 carries. He was a big part of your offense. Caden Durham was a little bit more consistent, a little bit more explosive, but the guy you counted on, short yardage, pass blocking, Josh Williams did a lot of things for you. You have to replace a guy like that. Can it be Kaleb Jackson? I don't see why not. Because, again, he's got the frame to do things that, frankly, the other guys on your team are not ready to do. Harlem Berry, true freshman, 5'10", 185. JT Lindsey, true freshman, 5'11", 185. You need somebody to be that short yardage back. And I get it. You can say, okay, well, Caden Durham can be that every down back. Sure. But you're not going to give Caden Durham 20 carries a game. At least I hope you're not. You want to keep him fresh for late in the game. In short yardage situations, can Kaleb Jackson go in there, get you a yard, get you 2 yards? I mean, we saw the highlights. I mean, he ran over Whit Weeks last year in fall practice right before the season started. That video clip went viral. Whit Weeks, pretty dang good football player, if I remember correctly. I mentioned some of the highlights we had seen from him on the field. It was just the consistency. Can he do the little things right, be a little bit more consistent? If he can have a decent role this year. Because I think there is a spot in this backfield built for him that just based on pure size, the other running backs maybe can't quite fill that role as good as he can. Look, we'll see what happens with Kaleb Jackson. Maybe he bursts onto the scene. He becomes your number 1 back. Maybe he doesn't play at all. But it's refreshing that a hometown kid, born and raised right here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, decided he was going to stay. He was going to work hard. He was going to find a way on the field for the team he loves in the LSU Tigers. This day and age, the transfer portal era of college football, it would have been very easy for Kaleb Jackson to enter that portal, say, I'm out of here. He didn't do that. He certainly seems like a guy who's here for the right reasons, who wants to work hard, who's ready to put his head down, grind any way he can, and hopefully make an impact for your team in the fall. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, Ross Jackson on LouisianaSports.net put out the best quarterback fits in this class for new head coach Kellen Moore, and there was also a report coming out from Adam Schefter. Kind of lines up with a lot of what Ross was saying. We'll break all that down next here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only Genesis, fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and they're right here in Baton Rouge. I told y'all earlier this week, we were driving, my wife goes, oh, that's that car I really like. It's a Genesis. And she had no idea that I even do this. I was like, yeah, they're really nice. They're really, really nice. And you should know it too. You don't see a ton of Genesis on the road because it's fairly new to our city here. They've only been at that location for a year and a half, but go check it out. It's a luxury vehicle. It's a luxury experience to be a Genesis driver. That means 3 years of complimentary maintenance, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car that's on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. And all of them, every single model, from the entry level to the highest end, come with the same safety features. Safety is a priority for Genesis. Go check them out. Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Welcome back in, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair for our guy, Hunt Palmer. Okay. A report has recently come out from Adam Schefter. He posted this morning at about 6:15 that the Saints have already made exploratory calls about trading up in the second round. It appears that they would like to trade up to select a quarterback, and maybe, just maybe, Jackson Dart is that guy. The Saints obviously currently have the 40th overall pick, which is the 7th pick in the second round. I don't know how high they feel they need to trade up to get a guy like Jackson Dart, but certainly that appears to kind of be their target, and it directly lines up with an article Ross Jackson at LouisianaSports.net put out yesterday. He wanted to mention the top fits quarterback-wise for head coach Kellen Moore's offense based on what he's seen from Kellen Moore in the past. The first name that Ross puts out is Jackson Dart. There's a lot to like about Jackson Dart. I get it. A lot of people are going to say, okay, well, is playing for Lane Kiffin a positive or a negative for Jackson Dart because his offense is so quarterback friendly, because quarterbacks in his offense haven't traditionally had a ton of success at the NFL level. But when you look at Jackson Dart, he is a 3-year starter at Ole Miss. And across the board, he has gotten better every single year. His first year, 62% completion percentage, 2,900 yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 picks. Second year, 65% completion, 3,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then this last season, excellent. 69.3% completion, 4,200 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And we know how athletic Jackson Dart is. We know he has shown a little bit of an ability to run. I think there's a lot to like about him. He has a ton of starting experience in a tough conference like the SEC. And again, he's gotten better in every single category across the board for 3 straight years. I think there's a lot to like about him. Obviously, look, no quarterback is ever going to be perfect. I have personally expressed my concern with pretty much every quarterback in this draft class. But, again, reports have surfaced that this is the quarterback that Kellen Moore and company have done the most homework on, so it makes sense. Out of all the guys they've looked at, they personally went to his pro day. Kellen Moore was there. This is kind of the guy that they are targeting. Whether it's 9 overall, whether they trade back up into the first round, whether they trade up into the second round, Jackson Dart kind of seems like the guy. But what if it's not Jackson Dart? The next name that Ross Jackson mentions is former Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe. He mentions that Jalen Milroe, similar quarterback coming out of college, as Jalen Hurts was, who, of course, won the Super Bowl with Kellen Moore this past season. I have a big problem with this. I've never been a huge fan of Jalen Milroe. I don't think he's a quarterback. I don't think Jalen Milroe can throw the ball consistently. I know people are going to say, oh, well, look at his numbers. Look at his rating under these deep passes. I've seen him miss a lot of deep passes and a lot of big moments. Now, look, in this article, Ross puts out Milroe's passer rating by depth in 2024. This is per Pro Football Focus. 20-plus yards, he has a 104.2 quarterback rating. In that 11 to 19-yard range, it drops all the way to 88.7. 0 to 10 yards, 88.9. Behind the line of scrimmage, 89.9. So it seems like, okay, Jalen Milroe can throw the deep ball a little bit. He struggles with the short to intermediate throws. The NFL, there are a ton of short and intermediate throws. And look, I think the numbers on his deep ball are better than it actually is. You go back and watch Jalen Milroe in those gotta-have-it moments in those big-time games, he struggled. I talked about the losses for Alabama this year. In those losses, Jalen Milroe wasn't that good. I mean, when you shut down his ability to run, he didn't do much. For example, against Tennessee, they held him. He wasn't able to run the ball that much. 14 carries for 11 yards against Tennessee. Here's what Jalen Milroe did through the air. 55% completion, 239, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. How about against Oklahoma? You remember they lost that game late in the season. Jalen Milroe, 15 carries for 7 yards against Oklahoma. What did he do in the air? 11 of 26, 164 yards, no touchdowns, 3 picks. Vanderbilt. He did have a rushing touchdown, but 7 carries for 10 yards. 310 yards passing. He had a touchdown. He also had a pick. When you limit Jalen Milroe's ability to run the football, he struggles in the passing game. I understand that Kellen Moore's had a lot of success with Jalen Hurts. I understand that Jalen Hurts runs the ball a lot. Who's to say that they can't do the same thing with a guy like Jalen Milroe? One, Jalen Hurts has a way better offensive line than anything Jalen Milroe could potentially play behind in New Orleans, at least for the foreseeable future. So it takes a little bit of the pass rush off Jalen Hurts. Also, coming out of college into the NFL, I thought Jalen Hurts was a way better passer than Jalen Milroe. Everyone's going to want to look at Alabama Jalen Hurts. Look at what he did at Oklahoma his last year. He was runner-up for the Heisman Trophy that year. Jalen Milroe was able to throw the ball a lot better. Jalen Hurts was able to throw the ball a lot better than a guy like Jalen Milroe. The last name that Ross mentions is a guy that continues to shoot up draft boards. Every year there is a player that has a late rise that people bring up. Hey, watch this guy. He could go a lot higher than projected. Tyler Shuck might be that guy this year. A lot of people have age concerns. They say he's 26 years old. That's not a concern for me because, okay, if you think Shuck is mature enough at 26 years old to come in and play right away. Let's say you hit on this pick and he becomes a starting quarterback for you for the next decade. He's still only 36 years old. That's not really a concern for me at the quarterback position. Now, if Tyler Shuck was coming out as a running back at 26 years old, huge red flag I'm staying away from. At the quarterback position, not really that big of a deal for me. Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old. He could potentially come back. Tom Brady played till he was 45. I mean, you look at the guys across the league, quarterbacks are playing into their 40s. It's not nearly as rare as it used to be. Tyler Shuck has played a lot of football. Injuries are a concern for me because he's had 3 different ones. He's broken his fibula in college and has broken his collarbone 2 different times. Now, both of those were the non-throwing shoulder, but it's still a concern nonetheless. I've heard a lot of people say, okay, well, Tyler Shuck put up good numbers and, you know, he lost games that he shouldn't have and he didn't perform well in those losses. That's not necessarily true. I mean, you go look at what he did against Stanford. He was iffy in that game. 270 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But then his other 2 losses, or three more losses. Miami, who was ranked in the top 10, 342 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. SMU by a touchdown, who was a college football playoff team, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Notre Dame by a touchdown, who was a college football playoff team, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Louisville did not lose games they should not have, except you could argue maybe the Stanford game. And Tyler Shuck performed well in all of those losses. So, I mean, there's this thing around him of, okay, well, he didn't perform well in these big moments. He kind of did. I mean, his teams didn't always come out victorious. They were 0 for 3 against all the big-time teams they played. But Shuck performed well. In those 4 losses, Tyler Shuck, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. CBS Sports put out an article last week saying one anonymous NFL head coach says that Tyler Shuck is his favorite quarterback in this draft class, even ahead of Cam Ward. And look, that's a guy who's an NFL head coach. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I love Tyler Shuck, but this happens every single year. Every year there's a guy who performs well at the combine, has a good pro day. People look at his measurables. Tyler Shuck is 6'5", 219 pounds. And then, you know, teams that otherwise wouldn't look at him are like, hey, what does this guy have on tape? You go look at a guy like Tyler Shuck. He has good tape. He's played a lot of football. And teams fall in love with him. He continues to rise up draft boards. There's certainly pros and cons with him, but I think there's issues with every quarterback in this class. Teams certainly believe there's a lot of value there with Tyler Shuck. Because if the Saints were to take him, it would not be in the first round. The Saints could maybe even wait at 40. I know I just mentioned the reports of Adam Schefter saying the Saints are trying to be aggressive, move up a little further in the second round to try to grab a quarterback, reportedly, possibly Jackson Dart. But if they can't do that and they want to sit tight at 40, Tyler Shuck's a guy that could be there that could maybe add some value for you. Look, we're going to continue to break down that story of Jackson Dart. I'm going to have a lot more on it tomorrow as well, what he would look like with the Saints. But look, whether it's Shuck, Milroe, Jackson Dart, the Saints certainly appear to want to draft a quarterback this season. Maybe not at number 9 where everyone's hoping they do, but the Saints might be aggressive to find their next signal caller. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, Dr. Jeremy Burnham with Ochsner is going to join us for a quick segment that's coming up on the other side here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford is taking 15 to 20% off all new 2024 models in stock. 15 to 20% off all new 2024 Ford models on our lot. Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild. Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the 2025 Jeep Compass Sport for only $23,995. $23,995 or 2025 Jeep Compass with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Welcome back in. Final segment, hour number one. A Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp filling in for Mr. Hunt Palmer. In just a few minutes, we're going to talk to Dr. Jeremy Burnham. His bi-weekly Monday segment. Going to get an update on some of the top injuries throughout sports. He obviously with Ochsner Sports Medicine, the Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute. He's going to hop on, give us a few minutes. Speaking of, we have Dr. Jeremy Burnham right now, joins us, Regional Head of Orthopedic and Sports Medicine for Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute. Dr. Burnham, that was a mouthful. How'd I do?
Yeah, you did a great job.
I appreciate it. Okay. Look, what I wanted to start here was Joel Embiid. Now, this happened about a month ago, but I had just realized, this is Joel Embiid's third torn meniscus all in the same knee. He tore his first one in 2017. He had issues 2023, 2024. Then he had another one a few months back. 3 meniscus surgeries on the same knee. And look, Joel Embiid's a guy that's over 7 foot tall. I mean, it's not easy on his knees anyways. I mean, what does that mean for him and the rest of his career?
Yeah, well, I think it's tough. Like you said, he's had multiple meniscus injuries, and I think his rookie year, it looks like he had a surgery several years ago, which actually repaired the meniscus, and that's where you use sutures to try to pull back those torn pieces of meniscus and get them to heal. And more recently, what he's had done is more consistent with what we call a meniscectomy, and that means trimming out part of the meniscus. And the best way to think about it is if you think about like a hangnail that you have on your fingernail, but it's in the knee instead, a very, very painful hangnail. oftentimes that's what happens, and the meniscus is very important in the knee, as you alluded to. He's large individual, high demand, explosive, and the meniscus is the shock absorber in the knee, and it also helps to provide some stability. Unfortunately, it does not have good blood supply. The periphery of it has good blood supply, but most of the meniscus just really doesn't have much blood supply, which means when it tears, it won't really heal itself most of the time. And so, unfortunately, we see with athletes and especially high demand athletes that aren't able to give their knee much of a break is that once that meniscus starts tearing, you kind of keep going down that pathway, and people can have part of it repaired, but if that doesn't work, then you end up trimming it and kind of continuing to do that. So it's a difficult thing. You never want to lose any of the meniscus, but certainly when you're playing sports like this for a living, it creates a challenge.
Switching from basketball to football, obviously the NFL draft coming up. Abdul Carter is a projected top 5 pick. Like this specific injury I'm about to mention does not seem to be a huge concern for NFL front offices. But, about a month ago when the combine and everything was going on, he went in for his medical, and it was reported that he had a foot stress fracture, which he actually played the entire season with last year at Penn State. It won't require surgery. It's supposed to heal on its own. But, for those out there that don't quite know what a stress fracture in your foot is, what does that entail?
That's right. Well, and this is one of the reasons that I always encourage patients to be really proactive about their health. I think this is an example of something that really, before it got too bad, got picked up at the combine and therefore was able to be treated appropriately. He actually had a recheck within the last week or two leading up to the draft that shows that fracture is healing. And it's really not expected to play any role in his draft status. I think he's still going to get drafted just as high. The combine medical process is very thorough. So just like we see on TV when they're running the 40 and they're doing the shuttle drills and the bench press and all those types of things, also they're doing a medical head-to-toe eval. And it's not just orthopedics. They've got specialists in there in internal medicine and all these different things. And so all these specialists are going through head to toe. If anybody's had any previous injury history, they're really going to dig into that. They can go back to really grade school with that. And I think that this was an injury that he had. It wasn't bothering him enough that it affected his play at all. And it was caught at the combine, fortunately. And already in that very short interval between the medical evaluation of the combine and now, it's already showed signs of healing. Stress fractures occur when the body can't keep up and can't keep reprocessing and building this bone back up as quickly as it's getting broken down. That's a good example of why we need periods of rest in our life with any activity. So you stress the bone and then you give it a break. And in this case, he was able to give it a break and get it healed, and probably will not affect him going forward.
Speaking of players that a lot of guys are keeping an eye on, obviously it's all about the quarterbacks at the NFL draft, right? And Tyler Shuck's a guy who's rising up draft boards, but look, he had some injury histories in college. He broke his fibula in 2023, but I kind of want to focus on the collarbone because he broke his left collarbone in 2021, rebroke the same one in 2022. Now, he's a righty, so it's his non-throwing shoulder, but how big of a concern would something like that be for NFL front offices?
Well, look, here's the deal. He played 7 years in college, and so I think having 2 or 3 injuries over that 7 years is not excessive. And fortunately, out of all the different types of injuries you can have, bone tends to heal back the most reliably. As you mentioned, non-throwing shoulder. And what happened is that in 2021, I think was his first injury when he was playing at Texas Tech, and he was running the ball a little bit more then. They had more design runs for him. But he broke his collarbone. Like many collarbone fractures, it was able to heal without surgery. So he did not have surgery at that time. Went back, the first hit that he took, it broke again. He actually then had surgery with a plate and screws put on there, and he's not had any problems since then. And so I think for a quarterback, you're always concerned about any upper extremity injury for sure. I think on the non-throwing side, considering it's bone-to-bone healing, he's now got a plate and screws in there, holding it stable. I think that, once again, is not really going to be an issue. And if you actually kind of look at what some of the coaches and GMs have said about him after meeting with him and talking to him about his injury history, everybody seems to be pretty positive. And so I think that's something that's not going to bother him. Of course, he's been called maybe the steal of the draft. And so I'm looking forward to see how high he goes.
Dr. Jeremy Burnham joining us right now, Regional Head of Orthopedic and Sports Medicine for Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute. Dr. Burnham, you probably know my colleague a little bit better, Jacob Hester. You're partnered with Elite. What do you guys have going on over there?
Yeah, so we have some great things going on over here. I think, there's a lot of blurred lines between sports medicine and sports performance, and certainly Elite our partners over at Elite are just doing a fantastic job in terms of all kinds of sports and position-specific training and all these things that are going on. And, speaking of NFL draft, one of the things that we do is we partner up with Elite and really do pre-combine training, trying to get these athletes in shape. We talked about the medical process at the draft is so extensive, and so we're able to help some of these athletes kind of go in there knowing what to expect and address any lingering issues that they have before they get to the draft, medical eval, and also making sure they're in tip-top shape when they get to that process. And, what I love about Elite is that we do work with many high-level and professional athletes, but we have that same technology and that same group of, sports performance trainers and medical specialists and position coaches and all those things that work with any of, the community that comes over here. So it doesn't matter whether you're a professional athlete or you're a weekend warrior, your ability to have access to the best is universal.
Dr. Burnham, thanks for hopping on with us today.
Great talking to you. Thank you.
All right, hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show coming up.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life, so why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Bayou Ford is taking 15 to 20% off all new 2024 models in stock. 15 to 20% off all new 2024 Ford models on our lot. Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I'm Doug Brown. Duke freshman Cooper Flagg, the consensus National Player of the Year, makes it official today. He will enter the NBA draft. Flagg helped the Blue Devils reach the Final Four. The Knicks and Pistons play Game 2 of their first-round series tonight. The Knicks held serve in Game 1. Also, the Nuggets and Clippers Game 2 with coverage on ESPN Radio at 9:30 Eastern. Denver took Game 1 in that series. The NFL Draft is now just 3 days away, and ESPN's Dan Orlovsky agrees that this year's quarterback class is not like last year's.
I don't feel any way about anyone in this class that I do about Jaden Daniels, like I did last year. I don't think Cam Ward is that far off, but Cam's also 6'2", so I can understand that.
Dan Orlovsky on Unsportsmanlike. Eagles center Cam Jurgens gets a contract extension with the Super Bowl champs. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports it's a 4-year deal worth $68 million with $39 million guaranteed.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up on Tuesday after 8 a.m. Eastern, Adam Schefter joins us just a few days before the NFL Draft. We'll get the latest intel from Schefty on Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Well, it's almost Hunt Palmer. Taylor Sharp filling in for a vacationing Hunt Palmer. We are here today all the way until Thursday. We were draft heavy in hour number 1. I broke down the report Adam Schefter had of the Saints possibly trying to trade up in the second round to potentially grab Jackson Dart. What that means for the Saints, his fit in the Kellen Moore offense. We talked to Dr. Jeremy Burnham of Ochsner about some sports injuries. Caleb Jackson not entering the transfer portal, and I gave you a little recap of LSU's series victory over the Alabama Crimson Tide. I want to keep the LSU conversation going right now. I want to go out to the phone lines. Jace Lejeune of Gridiron Football hops on with us right now. Jace, how are you today?
Doing good, but what's going on, Taylor?
Not a whole lot. For those who don't know, Jace normally my broadcast partner over at VSN for Episcopal games, but one of us is bailing on the games Thursday and Friday. So, Jace, I can't be there in person. I will be there with you in spirit, man.
As long as you're there some way, somehow, that's what matters, Taylor.
Well, I will be thinking of you when I'm at a wedding. Okay, I'll be like, man, I wonder what Jace is doing. Okay, look, you cover this LSU football team every day, and I mean, obviously, look, they just wrapped up spring. I want to kind of get your overall thoughts, whether it's the scrimmage that they had last weekend, the practices that we just wrapped up, like maybe your overall takeaways, like maybe a positive and a negative. Like, what have you seen from this team during spring?
Yeah, Taylor. Really, what I've come away impressed the most, really through spring, is just how impressive really the defense has been through spring football, and that's pretty impressive considering knowing that the potential of this offense. You return Garrett Nussmeier, you return a lot of your receivers, and you add in a couple pieces as well through the transfer portal. And really the defense really got the better a lot of times of the offense, especially when the wide receivers and DBs went against each other one-on-one. And really it was the DBs that came away on top more often than not. So I came away pretty impressed on that side of things. And as a defense from just as a whole, 11 on 11, they actually got the better of the offense, which I come away pretty impressed because you know what to expect from this offense anyway. So if the defense can make those right steps in the right direction, I came away very impressed with that. Now, in terms of something you can talk about as a negative, really the offensive line, and I mean that's really been talked about a lot through spring. It's just because really the last time we got the chance to see this LSU football team, we've seen the offensive line get pushed around by the defensive front, and that's definitely something that you definitely need to fix moving forward. But really offensive line play, I mean, the potential's there. Is just trying to find that right combination, right? Because you only return one starter from a season to go. So trying to find, you got the talent, you have depth there, you got a lot of different pieces, but trying to find that combination that works, that is definitely the biggest thing to look at when you talk about the offensive line.
Speaking of the offensive line, let's go ahead and go there right now. Like, as far as the rotation, look, we've seen DJ Chester play center and guard. We've seen Braylon Moore play center. Josh Thompson's been guard and tackle. Like, in your opinion, like maybe like the rotation and early starting lineup, like what is the best rotation for this offensive line in terms of like Josh Thompson at guard or tackle, Braylon Moore at center, Chester at guard? Like, where do you like these guys?
Yeah, it's tough to tell because, LSU is leaned on that combination they used in the Baylor bowl game. Most likely is what you saw, and that's what we've seen through spring football so far. But, I mean, you add in Braylon Moore for a reason, right? I mean, that experience of playing center in college football at Virginia Tech, you bring him over, you get that experience. I mean, sooner or later, you're going to put him at center. I think he'll end up being the starting center. I like Paul Mbinga at left guard. You can push over a DJ Chester at guard as well. Keep Tyree Adams at left tackle and then get Josh Thompson at right tackle. I mean, I think that is right now the best combination. Now, we still got a lot of football to go through, especially when we go to summer and fall. But that starting combination right now, as we're talking about April 21st on a Monday, that's probably the starting five I would go with.
So, just for recap, you got Adams, Mbinga, Moore, Chester, Thompson.
Yep.
That is the exact same starting lineup I gave last week when I was filling in on OTB. Jace, great minds think alike. Okay, I mean, what do you want to say? Okay, look, sticking with the offensive side of the ball, it's normally not news when a player isn't entering the transfer portal, but I mean, a lot of people, and like you and I have had conversations about this, like there was always the discussion of would Kaleb Jackson enter the transfer portal? He decided he's staying. What does that do for LSU's running back room?
I think it does a whole lot for this LSU running back room because he brings an extra element to the running game. When we've seen Kaleb throughout the couple of years, we've seen flashes, right? You've seen the ability to be a big-time running back, obviously the play against Mississippi State when he trucked a defender back in his freshman year. That was really his third career game. And we see him return a couple of kicks for some big-time plays. But he brings an extra dimension, right? You have some smaller backs, Caden Durham's only just over 200 pounds. Harlem Berry, that he's not an inside runner as well. So you bring a 225-pound running back in with the ability to break the long ball too. That's an extra dimension he can bring. He can bring you some short yardage as well. He brings an extra dimension that you really need in this offense. And we got a chance to talk to Kaleb, and I tell you what, Taylor, that was one of the most mature interviews I've ever been a part of. He really handled this whole situation like you really want to. He understands that things happen and that all he can do is just, put his head down, just continue to work hard, and that's what he did. He got a conversation with Coach as well, Coach Frank Wilson, out over the off season, just continue to work and just continue to get better. And, and he's really done a really good job of that. He wants to get down to 225. He was at 235 last year. So if he can play at 225, I feel like that's a healthy weight for him. And, he's really handled this whole offseason as maturely as you can.
Jace, other good news LSU got kind of right before spring wrapped up was Colin Hurley rejoining the team. Obviously he's not going to be a full go after that car accident he was in, but he at least rejoined the team. He was back in the building. If he's a full go for fall, you would have, as far as your quarterback room, Garrett Nussmeier, Michael Van Buren, Colin Hurley, and then Jawan Johnson, who's kind of moved around a lot. What do you think Jawan Johnson's future is here at LSU?
I think Jawan does have a future here. He's just so athletic. I covered his high school career at LCA, and he's just too good of an athlete to keep off the field. And I'm not sure if it's going to be like a gadget guy. You actually got the chance to see that in the spring game, right? They run some gadget plays with Jawan Johnson. A lot of times at Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback, he lines up at running back, and then Nussmeier lines up to wide receiver, and he lines over at quarterback. So, gadget plays like that, maybe some short yardage plays, zone read plays, like you can use and utilize like a Taysom Hill, a player like that. I think he's just so versatile. We see him play in secondary last year. We saw him play at running back and have some success, right? Call a touchdown against Nichols last year. And I do believe that he has a place in this offense, and he can throw if he needs to. I mean, he was set all kinds of records at LCA as a passer and as a runner. So there's a place for him in this offense. And I think Joe Sloan's going to be really excited to utilize him in different ways. And I think we'll get some playing time just in a gadget utility type of role, and I think there is a role in this offense for him.
Jay, just want to switch to the defensive side of things right now. Jason LeJeune of Gridiron Football hopping on with us. Look, you talked about how good the defense had been, and look, LSU did a great job in the portal at corner, at edge rusher. We know that Kyle Williams comes in as the new defensive tackle coach, but if there's a question mark on defense for most people, it might be that safety spot. You bring in Tamarcus Cooley, but outside of that, I mean, you got some talent, but they're kind of unproven. What are your thoughts on that spot heading into fall?
Yeah, that's the other position group. I talked about the offensive line earlier. If there's a position group on defense I'm worried about, it is the safety position. Now, you do return Jordan Gilbert. He is back for another year, but he also sat out the whole of spring. You do bring in Tamarcus Cooley. Does he play safety? Does he play nickel? I mean, you never know what his role is going to look like, right? Deshaun Spears, this is a guy that, I mean, yourself and I mean, we're both really high on him. And Blake Baker has actually been probably had the hardest time on him throughout the spring, just talking to him. But I expect a big jump from year 1 to year 2 for Deshaun Spears. We've seen Joel Rogers. He's gotten some playing time. And Javian Toviano, he's another guy that's played and bounced around. He's played football. He's played different positions. Does he sell at safety? Is it going to be Jordan Gilbert and Deshaun Spears, or Tamarcus Cooley and Jordan Gilbert, or Toviano? Did they go to the transfer portal? I would think that's still an option out there for LSU to get another safety in the transfer portal, but there's still a lot of question marks with the safety position.
Speaking of the safety spot, sticking there, what are kind of your two guys? Like, if LSU started the season today, who do you think would be the two guys back there?
I mean, right now, if the season started today against Clemson, this is week 1. That's not necessarily saying it's going to be my starters in week 7, week 8. But just starting week 1, you probably have Tamarcus Cooley and Jordan Gilbert out there just because they have played the most football. I can see Deshaun Spears also playing a whole lot in that first game against Clemson. But if it's up to really that first game right now, that's probably what you're leaning with.
Jace, you just mentioned the transfer portal, possibly maybe dipping into there for trying to find some depth at safety. And then, Brian Kelly, after practice last week, was asked, what are you going to do in the transfer portal? And Kelly was pretty blunt, saying, look, I kind of like my roster right now. Like, unless something changes, we're kind of good with what we have. Like, how aggressive do you think LSU would be? I mean, if you go by what Brian Kelly said, it's not very, but I mean, there's obviously some spots you'd like some depth. I mean, what do you think they do in the portal?
Yeah, I mean, I think LSU is going to kind of pick and choose their spots. They don't have to be really aggressive in the portal, but the portal I've always liked to compare it as is a good Band-Aid, right? It's something that you shouldn't overload your roster with transfer portal guys, but if there's a need or two there, that's where you go and attack it. And I think there's 3 positions that they will attack it in the portal. I think it's safety. We obviously talked about it and some of the issues there in the back end of the defense, but also the offensive line, maybe get another veteran guy like a Braylon Moore, like a Josh Thompson, maybe to shore up the offensive line, and then maybe the interior of the defensive line. That was a position group that they tried last year trying to get a guy. They just were not able to get one, but I think they'll also try again and try to find an interior guy on the defensive line right now because you have some guys there. I mean, Jacoby and Guillory, we've seen what Donovan McKinley and Amon Breaux did as freshmen, and you add inside Darren Mitchell. But I think they need another guy or two on the interior of the defensive line. So I think those 3 position groups, I think that is what they'll pay the most attention to when it comes to trying to find a guy to the portal.
Jace, before we get you out of here, what do you guys got going on at Gridiron Football?
Yeah, Taylor, we got a whole lot going on. We actually have a football camp coming up this Saturday. It's going to be at Lamar Dixon Expo Center on April 26th. And any player from 6th or 11th grade that wants to get some film, we film everybody, all their drills, all their reps. We interview all the players that attend the camp. And we also are doing some evaluations for a Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game for upcoming seniors. So if you want to get looked at by college coaches, we are printing a magazine in May. So if you want to be in our magazine, want to get a chance to be featured in Gridiron Football's print magazine coming up, make sure to go down to Lamar Dixon Expo Center on April 26th. You can sign up online, gridironfootballusa.com, go to elite camps and register for a camp. I highly encourage to pre-register for that camp because it's $75 online. And if you want to come up the day of, it's $100 walk-ups, but we encourage you to register online. Go to gridironfootballusa.com for that.
Jace Lejeune, Gridiron Football. Jace, thanks for hopping on with me today.
Anytime, Taylor. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a quick time out. When we get back, Ryan Ramczyk has officially announced his retirement. We'll talk about what that means financially for the New Orleans Saints and kind of look back on the career of Ryan Ramczyk and the black and gold. That's coming up on the other side here on Off the Bench. Yep.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and they're right here in Baton Rouge. I told y'all earlier this week we were driving, my wife goes, "Oh, that's that car I really like. It's a Genesis." And she had no idea that I even do this. I was like, yeah, they're really nice. They're really, really nice. And you should know it too. You don't see a ton of Genesis on the road because it's fairly new to our city here. They've only been at that location for a year and a half, but go check it out. It's a luxury vehicle. It's a luxury experience to be a Genesis driver. That means 3 years of complimentary maintenance, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car that's on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. And all of them, every single model, from the entry level to the highest end, come with the same safety features. Safety is a priority for Genesis. Go check them out. Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for...
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Welcome back in, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, not off the bench. There was some confusion going into
Nobody
break last
noticed
time.
it. You didn't have to say it. You don't have to even talk about it if you don't want to.
I know, but you got to bring it up. You got to bring it up. It's not off the bench. It's the Hunt Palmer Show. We're here, Monday edition. Taylor Sharp filling in for Hunt Palmer. Ross Jackson put out this article a few days ago. On Thursday evening, Saints offensive tackle Ryan Ramczyk officially announced his retirement from the NFL. Look, it has been a number of years since we have seen Ryan Ramczyk in the everyday starting lineup in the black and gold. He's retiring after 7 seasons in the league. He was one of the 2 remaining members of that coveted 2017 NFL draft class. The last remaining member on the team is, of course, running back Alvin Kamara. Look, he's going to go down, quite frankly, as one of the team's top offensive linemen in franchise history. Again, they were without him all last season, which is a big reason why they drafted Taliese Fuaga. They moved Trevor Penning over to right tackle. They put Fuaga at left tackle. If you remember, the thing about Fuaga coming out of the draft last year was his versatility. He could play left tackle. He could play right tackle. You could even put him at guard if you needed to. A big reason you grabbed him was because of that Ryan Ramczyk injury. So, look, we'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow as far as mock drafts, where people are being projected now, but unless a big-time offensive tackle is there for you at 9, you're likely going to have Fuaga and Penning again. While Ramczyk officially announces retirement on Thursday, reports are the Saints are probably going to wait to file any paperwork until after June 1. They've done this with retirements before. They did this with Drew Brees, saved themselves some money in cap space. They did this with when Brees retired. He was a post-June 1 retirement designation. If New Orleans were to process this move immediately, they would take on roughly $10 million in new salary cap charges, amounting to just over $23 million in dead cap space here in 2024. But by waiting until at least June 2nd, possibly later, the team will be able to save his base salary of $1.255 million and defer about $10.7 million into next year's salary cap. If they did that, this measure would keep the Saints' existing surplus of more than $27 million intact. This would give them more flexibility beyond, signing anybody they want, paying out their draft class. A move like that would work. Now, the Saints are going to have a lot of dead cap to manage in 2026, especially if Derek Carr ends up off the roster June 1st of this year. But the salary cap is expected to rise as it has in most years in the past. So can you roll over in 2026? Hopefully the salary cap's a little bit bigger. You can just manage it there. The Saints like to kick things down the road, but I actually think this move does make a lot of sense for them, especially in the immediacy. But as far as a player like Ryan Ramczyk goes, I mean, what an all-time great. This was someone who played or could have played at a high level for as long as he wanted to. Unfortunately, his body failed him. We know about the knee injuries. He had battled that for a couple years, and he wasn't able to do it anymore. But in my opinion, Ryan Ramczyk could have been the best left tackle in all of football for about a 4 or 5 year period there. So I just mentioned that 7 years in the NFL, going back to 2023, because he didn't play in 2024. But from 17 to 23, look, 16 games, 15 games, 16, then 10. That was his first injury. Following season, though, played all the way through injuries, 16 games, only played 12 in 2023, and then that's when the injuries really started to catch up to him. But 18, 19, and 20, he was All-Pro each of those years. Twice he was a second-team All-Pro. In 2019, he was a first-team All-Pro. By all accounts, he was a top 2 to 3 right tackle in the National Football League for about a 4 or 5 year span there, even with the injuries. I mean, this was a guy that, look, we'll sit here on these shows because everybody's mad at the Saints front office, and you can clown Mickey Loomis for all the misses he's had in the NFL draft, and there's been a lot. The 2017 class was a thing of beauty. Ryan Ramczyk was one of the headliners of that class. I mentioned he was one of the 2 remaining members of that 2017 class. Alvin Kamara now the only remaining member of that 2017 draft class that was so instrumental for the New Orleans Saints. Is Ryan Ramczyk an NFL Hall of Famer? Beck, okay, if I was to ask you, quick, off the cuff, is he an NFL Hall of Famer, yes or no?
He's a Saints Hall of Famer.
He's a Saints Hall of Famer.
He's not an NFL Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, he didn't play long enough. I mean, if it's interesting debate in terms of if you only play, like, what's should one of the parameters to be in the Hall of Fame be that you have to play a certain, like, you have to play a really long career? Like, what if you played 5 years and you were one of the best players of your position for 5 years? Does that mean that you shouldn't get into the Hall of Fame just because you only played 5 years? That's I think the question you could maybe bring up in terms of Ryan Ramczyk's. But he's not going to get in. We know that because he just didn't play long enough. I just think it's an interesting topic to consider because he was one of the best right tackles in the NFL for pretty much every year he played, even in his rookie year.
You bring up an interesting point. I'm going to say I don't think there should be parameters, and we've seen it before. I think it depends on the position you play.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm looking at Terrell Davis right now, NFL Hall of Famer. Terrell Davis played 7 years in the NFL. He only played double-digit games 4 times. His last 3 years in the NFL, he played 4 games, 5 games, 8 games. That was his last 3 years in the NFL. Now, his first 4 years, super healthy. I mean, 14 games, 16, 15, 16. He had 2,000 yards in 1998. That was the last year he had double-digit games started. 2,000 yards, 21 touchdowns. He was excellent. Sterling Sharp recently got into the NFL Hall of Fame. A lot of people thought he was never going to. There were talks that Sterling Sharp could have been one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game. Like Ryan Ramczyk, his body failed him. The reason I think it's different for guys like Terrell Davis, for guys like Sterling Sharp, is no fault of Ryan Ramczyk's. They play impact positions, right? They play positions that you're going to remember. Unfortunately, a lot of people in NFL circles outside of the New Orleans Saints are going to forget about Ryan Ramczyk in 5 to 10 years. It just happens. He's an offensive lineman. That happens to you if you're a good offensive lineman with no injuries. Unfortunately, the position he plays, no, I think you need to play, 10, 12 years, be solid all the way through. Because again, a Super Bowl winning running back like Terrell Davis can get in. Sterling Sharp can get in. It takes an offensive playmaker to make that happen. Somebody you remember, a touchdown scorer, if you will, not an offensive lineman. That's just unfortunate. And again, that's just my opinion. But I mean, the guys we have seen make it, despite not having a long career, are the offensive playmakers. Now, is he a Saints Ring of Honor? Remember, I think he's a lock for that. I mean, he's arguably a top 5 offensive lineman in franchise history. Willie Roaf is obviously going to be at the top of that list. Jari Evans is up there. But I think Ryan Ramczyk's right there in that conversation. I mean, if you want to rank Willie Roaf and Jari Evans 1 and 2 in franchise history, I'm good with it. But Ryan Ramczyk's up there. I mean, they've had good O-linemen over the years, but like Beck just mentioned, like even his rookie year, he was one of the best right tackles in the NFL. I mean, really for a 5-year span there, you couldn't have found 2 right tackles in the NFL in any given moment that were better than what you had with Ryan Ramczyk. So, look, it's unfortunate. He was a great player in the black and gold. He is calling it quits. This is something that doesn't come to a shock to anyone who follows the New Orleans Saints or has followed the career of Ryan Ramczyk. You kind of saw this coming. Again, if the Saints wait until that post-June 1 to file this paperwork, they could save a lot in cap space this year, kind of backloaded to 2026. I fully expect that is what they are going to do. All right, we take a timeout. Some jersey retirements happened in college football. I have some thoughts on it. I'm sure you know who it involves. We're going to take a quick timeout, though. We'll be back on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Welcome back in, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for Hunt Palmer. We got two more segments left for you here on this Monday. And this news was announced last Monday or Tuesday, but the ceremony officially occurred this past Saturday, where Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders both had their jerseys officially retired at Colorado. Okay. A lot of people have made a big deal about this. I say rightfully so. I have zero issue with Travis Hunter's jersey being retired. He was a dominant two-way player, and he was a Heisman winner. Your school doesn't have a ton of Heisman winners. I get it. Look, if you win the Heisman Trophy at any school, jersey, number, statue outside the stadium, whatever, I'm good with it. But it's not even that. Like, you go look at what Travis Hunter did for 2 years. It's not just last year when he won the Heisman. In 2023, 721 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. This past season, 1,258 yards, and 15 touchdowns. So in 2 seasons, he had 20 receiving touchdowns. And then on defense, 2023, 30 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 3 interceptions. 2024, 36 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 4 interceptions. So over 65 tackles and 7 touchdowns on defense while having 20 receiving touchdowns over a 2-year period. You're not going to find anybody that was more productive than that. I'm good with it. I mean, I have zero issue with Travis Hunter's jersey being retired. But in my opinion, Shedeur Sanders having his jersey retired is laughable. What has he done? Look, Shedeur Sanders had a good season. I'm not saying Shedeur did not have a good season in 2024. 4,000 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Great. 74% completion percentage, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football last season. 71.8% completion percentage through a 2-year span at Colorado. That's outstanding. 7,300 yards, 64 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. That's really good. 64 touchdown passes over a 2-year span is really good. That's not an NCAA record. I mean, again, 13 interceptions over a 2-year span is good. 10 of them were last year. The same season where you took 52 sacks, 40 of them you held onto the ball 4 seconds or longer. Like, look, great numbers. I'm good with it. He did a lot of good things for Colorado. He's 13-12 as a starting quarterback in Boulder. Is that worthy of a retirement ceremony? No. Look, the reason Colorado did this is because Colorado is not a serious program. And I want to thank Deion Sanders for making my point for me. Late last week, Deion Sanders said, because he was asked about, hey, the jersey retirement, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. A lot of people have a lot of thoughts about it. What's your thoughts on it? He said, if Shedeur's last name wasn't Sanders, we wouldn't even be talking about it. Thank you for making my point for me, because I agree. Because if his last name wasn't Sanders, his jersey would not be retired. If his last name was not Sanders, he would be a quarterback with a 13-12 record on a team that went 9-4 a year ago, that had 64 touchdown passes over a 2-year span. Tip your hat to him. Good college career. Let him move on to the next level. That's it. His jersey would not be retired if his last name was not Sanders. So I agree with Deion. If his name wasn't Sanders, we wouldn't be talking about it because it wouldn't have occurred. Like Deion, don't like Deion. It's your opinion, but I just feel like sometimes he acts like him and his family get treated so unfairly, which I kind of think it's the complete opposite. Like, okay, for example, if I coached at the FCS level, or let's give the exact school. If I coached at Jackson State, I was there for 3 years, I had a pretty good record. Am I personally going to get a job in the Power 4? Am I going to pole vault from Jackson State to the Power 4? Nope, I'm not. Because I'm not Deion Sanders. I'm not an NFL Hall of Famer. And that's okay. I'm good with that. I understand you want to hire this guy for what he could be, not necessarily his coaching resume. And I'm not saying he's done a bad job at Colorado. But to think that, oh, well, everybody's out to get me and my family, like, I kind of feel like you have an advantage. Like, some people are saying, oh, well, Deion's just mad because he's getting treated unfairly. Is he? Name me another team that's 13-12 over the last 2 years that plays on ESPN as much as Colorado. It's the Deion Sanders effect. Again, I'm not complaining about it, but you get that, you get to be in that situation, not because of necessarily what you did on the field, but because your coach is Deion Sanders. He's a flashy, well-known guy, and people gravitate towards it. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't act like, oh, poor me, everybody's picking on me. No, they're not. You have an advantage over a lot of other coaches with a similar resume because of your name, because of the attention you attract. I mentioned Colorado's 13-12. I can't even imagine the amount of money they've made over the last 2 years with the Deion Sanders hire. If that was your goal when you hired Deion Sanders, was let's get a lot of publicity in my school. And look, Deion has a winning record in 2 years. He hasn't been awful. But let's not act like he's treated unfairly. He's not. If anything, he has an unfair advantage. But again, that's because of how good of a player he was. Some will say he earned the right to have that benefit of the doubt. Maybe he did. The problem I have is when Deion goes, oh, well, it's because, it's me. It's my last name. Everybody hates me. They hate Shedeur. It's just us. Everybody wants to pick on us. No. If Shedeur wasn't your son, he wouldn't have the publicity that he had. Again, that's a good thing for Shedeur. He's going to, in all likelihood, be a first-round draft pick. Now, I think he was a good college player, but the Sanders name probably helps him, and that's okay. Look, take the victories you can get in life. Take any advantage you can have, especially in a sport as competitive as football. Take the advantage. But to act like you're at some sort of disadvantage because you're Deion Sanders is... I can't get on board with that. Some may ask, why are they doing this so soon? For Travis Hunter, it's fine. Again, if you win the Heisman Trophy, statue, jersey, name, whatever you want, I'm good with it. Any school, not just Colorado, LSU, anywhere. I'm good with it. Maybe he thought, hey, maybe Colorado's the end of the road for Deion. Maybe it's not. Maybe he has goals of going somewhere else. I don't know. I'm not him. Maybe he's thinking, if I don't retire Shedeur Sanders' jersey before I leave Boulder, his jersey will never get retired. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. But to get upset and just treat it as it's a personal attack, like, again, you can like Deion, you can not like Deion. Like, I don't think anybody can get on board and say that he is being treated unfairly. He's not. He likely has an advantage because of that name, and I'm good with that. Just rename the University of Colorado Deion Sanders University. If that's what you're going to do. Just do it. And maybe that's... Then anyone will be happy that wants to say that he's being treated unfairly. Look, no secret, I was not a fan of the hire when Colorado hired Deion Sanders. I just didn't think his resume held up to some of the people that were more qualified. He's 13-12. And you can say, okay, that's not a great record. They were winless before he got there. I think Deion's actually done an okay job at Colorado. I get a little tired of everyone's picking on me when they're actually not. It's actually the opposite. Like, you do so many media appearances. You've brought in so many eyeballs to your program and good on you. But you're not at a disadvantage because your coach is Deion Sanders. If anything, that helps you. Again, I'm good with that, but I don't know. The whole, oh, well, if his name wasn't Sanders, we wouldn't be having the conversation. Yeah, his jersey wouldn't be retired. I agree. All right, look, want to take a timeout. When we get back, we're going to close this thing out. We got a lot of take it or leave it's to get to, including one I want Beck and then possibly Cassie's thoughts on as well. WrestleMania wrapped up over the weekend. We may get into that a little bit as well. That's coming up here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. David Duvall and his team, 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. There are a lot of people who are not over the moon with their current home. Well, you can improve where you live. One Bath and Closets is happy to help you do that. Brand new customized closet, brand new bathroom, soup to nuts. They do the entire thing for you. You don't have to call 3 different contractors to get this entire thing done. No, you make one call to One Bath and Closets. They handle the entirety of it. Maybe you're not looking for something that extensive. Maybe you're looking for something like a tub to shower conversion. They can do that as well. You don't reuse that tub. They can take it out, put a glass walk-in shower in, changes the look of your bathroom, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds value to your home. So if down the road you're looking to move on, that's an asset that you've got right there under your roof. We're worried about paying for it. Financing options are very much available for the folks over at One Bath and Closets. It starts with a free consultation, a questionnaire, and then a plan. They get it done and they do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. You can check them out online at onebathandclosets.com.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The following local businesses have also pledged to match your donations throughout the month: Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and Action Industries, as well as Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. Visit 1045ESPN.com to help us reach our goal. And together we can make dreams come true. And Shep Boys has generously donated items autographed by former LSU star Justin Jefferson for our Dreams Come True Radiothon. Donate between now and April 30th and enter for a chance to receive one of 2 pieces of priceless memorabilia. 2 prizes will be awarded to separate contributors. Visit 1045ESPN.com to donate today.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp here with you, and we're going to close things out like we do every day with a little bit of Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
Alrighty, first one here in CBS Sports' latest mock draft. They have the Jaguars selecting Teteroa McMillan. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it.
I'll take it.
Saints fans may not like that too much. There is a large faction of the Saints fan base that wants the Saints to draft Teteroa McMillan at 9 overall. He's obviously talented enough to go that high. I kind of question the move because he's kind of the exact same receiver you already have in Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, he's explosive. He's 6'4". He can go up and get the contested balls, the 50-50 balls. He's going to be a good red zone target. Like, I like it. I mean, sure, you can never have too many of those guys, but that's kind of why so many people wanted him on the Saints, right? You got those guys that are 5'11", 6 foot. You get the big 6'4" guy on the outside. You already have that with Brian Thomas Jr., so maybe kind of a weird fit, but he's certainly talented enough.
Alrighty, next one here. Crawfish boils on Easter. Take it or leave it?
You have to take
I'll
this.
take it.
I led the show today mentioning that I had 2 crawfish boils yesterday, so obviously I'm good with them. Like, what are you doing on Easter in Louisiana if you're not doing a crawfish boil or some type of boil outside? I mean, crawfish boils are where it's at. I mean, do either of you disagree? I mean, I think that has to be a take it.
Yeah, no, I'll take it as well. I will say the only challenge is that if you are doing the crawfish boil, it can be very difficult to actually get crawfish because literally everybody is trying to do a crawfish boil. So that's the only downside, I guess, to it. But of course, doing a crawfish boil on Easter is definitely a Louisiana tradition that is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a must.
All right, next one here. North Carolina has added South Alabama transfer QB Gio Lopez. Good move for Bill Belichick. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Gio Lopez was a productive player at South Alabama, and he kind of pulled out of the Nico Iamaleava sweepstakes pretty early on. I kind of figured that was going to happen. That mindset and Bill Belichick don't mesh well together. I'll take it. I mean, he needed a quarterback. Why not?
All right, next one here. First round of the NBA playoffs so far. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it. Only one game was decided by single digits. That was a great game. I actually watched a lot of the NBA playoffs on Saturday. Tuned in for the Nuggets game, which is the one that went into overtime. Nuggets win that game 112-110. That was a really good basketball game. Outside of that, Oklahoma City beat Memphis by 51 points on Sunday. That's not competitive basketball. The Lakers actually got blown out at home in game 1 by the Timberwolves. That was maybe the most interesting game because the Lakers had been playing so well and they were big favorites. They lose game 1 at home. How do they respond in that series? But as far as the NBA as a whole, no, I'm going to leave it because, what was it? Rockets Warriors was a 10-point game, but it was 95-85. It wasn't great offensive basketball. I'll leave it.
All right, next one. We mentioned a little bit earlier, but Chad Baker-Mazara of Auburn is entering the transfer portal. He spent the last 2 seasons at Auburn after playing 1 season at Northwest Florida State. He previously played at San Diego State and Duquesne, with his freshman season for the Dukes not counting toward his eligibility because of COVID. 5 different colleges for Baker-Mazara. Take it or leave it.
I'm leaving this.
Leave it alone.
Look, I know I talked about Kaleb Jackson earlier in hour number 1, how refreshing it was that he is not entering the portal. If you're Chad Baker-Mazara, though, where are you going to go where it's a better situation than Auburn? And you can't say, okay, well, maybe Auburn didn't have a spot for him. First off, outside of Janai Broome, Chad Baker-Mazara might have been the best player on Auburn's team. And also, Bruce Pearl has now lost all 5 of his starters from a year ago. Now, he gets Tahad Pettiford back in all likelihood, who was a freshman that came off the bench. But Chad Baker-Mazara was likely going to be the leader of this team on a team that went to the Final Four this past season. What else could you want if you're Chad Baker-Mazara? Maybe you just really do just want to see the world when you're in college and go somewhere else every single year. But I'm leaving that. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better situation than you have at Auburn.
All right, last one here. John Cena wins WrestleMania. John Cena is the GOAT. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I don't know anything about wrestling. I'm sure a lot of people that have a lot more opinions may tell me that I'm an idiot. Look, I don't know anything about wrestling. I heard coming in this morning that he has 17 titles, which is the most all time. Now, it's hard to determine. We were talking about this during break earlier. It's hard to determine who is the quote-unquote GOAT of wrestling because it's all scripted. The script writers and all this kind of decided that John Cena was going to win all these titles. Not to say that John Cena's not athletic and in shape, but they kind of all are. It's just the result is scripted, so it's kind of hard to tell who's the best, who's not. But in y'all's opinion, Cassie's actually a big wrestler. There's the surprise of the day. But y'all know more about this than I do. Is John Cena the best ever?
I think he's overrated.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Cassie, John Cena hater. Let's note that one down.
Jeez.
I'm not a hater. I just think he's overrated.
You are a hater if you think he's overrated. You just are. Everybody. Right. I don't watch a lot of wrestling these days, but
I know that John Cena has a huge following.
Yeah, and he had this heel turn recently, which everybody was talking about.
To the dark side.
Yeah, but it's hard for me to say that he would be overrated, considering he's been one of the most popular wrestlers for the last 10 or 15 years.
Is he the greatest ever?
I would say no, just because.
Okay, who is?
Maybe
I don't
Ric
know.
Flair.
Yeah, a lot of people like Ric Flair.
It's clearly Stone Cold Steve Austin.
A lot of people like Stone Cold. A lot of people like The Rock.
Undertaker.
I just picked Stone Cold because I like him. The dude shotguns beers all the time and sprays them everywhere. That's my guy.
Yeah, I agree with you though. How do you really? how can you really determine who the best is if it's all just decided beforehand anyway? So it's hard to really say.
Okay, well, write it down. Jacob Beck, Cassie Bazzali both hate John Cena, not the GOAT. All right, that's going to do it for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We were really LSU heavy in this show. Led things off recapping LSU's 2-1 series victory over the Alabama Crimson Tide over the weekend. We talked LSU in the transfer portal as one player decided not to enter his name, which a lot of people thought he might. Big news there for LSU. Reports from Adam Schefter say that the Saints might try to be aggressive and trade up in the second round, get a quarterback, possibly targeting former Ole Miss Rebel Jackson Dart. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow as well. And then in hour number 2, Jace Lejeune of Gridiron Football hocked on. Talk a little transfer portal, what the Tigers may do there. Shedeur Sanders had his jersey retired, which I think is a little bit ridiculous. Look, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know.